This, guys, is our first ever Back to School with LumaFusion webinar. So we're really excited to have you all here. It's been a long time in the making. We've had the LumaTouch Academy for a few years now. And so actually having, a place to talk to you guys and communicate and have a little bit of a community discussion is really exciting for us. So thank you very much for coming along. We're going to be together for the next hour. So that means you need, as I said, you need your editing device with LumaFusion opened. Some of you guys have only just downloaded LumaFusion. I've had emails from you. So if you have, that's absolutely fine. Just do open up LumaFusion. This is going to be the first time you're using it. That's super exciting. So if you are joining today's session and you're thinking, my goodness, this is a whole new language. I've never edited a video before. Don't worry, LumaFusion is for those of you that are just getting started, as well as professional documentary makers, or you could have been in the industry converting over from desktop software. You could be using mobile editing as well as your desktop software, or you might just be wanting to make fun home videos, for the holidays. It's absolutely up to you what you use it for. Okay, guys, so it's 5 minutes past, so we're gonna jump in. Anybody else who wants to join can do so, of course. They can jump in whenever we're going. I just thought to introduce our team here, because I'm going to be speaking to you for the next hour. My name is Caroline Scott. I am a certified instructor here at the LumaTouch Academy and also one of the content creators on the team. Hopefully you're in safe hands. I've literally taught thousands of journalists how to shoot and edit video content on mobile phones. And I've been with the LumaTouch team for the past year. So it's really exciting to be with you all here today. And I'm joined by my colleagues, Amy Benson, who's at customer support at LumaTouch, and Scott Squire, who is one of our content creators. Hi, guys.
You're here to answer questions. If somebody pops a question into the Q&A, I'll do my best to keep eyes on that.
So I'm going to start with a little bit of an introduction for those of you that aren't as familiar with the tool, and then we're going to jump into it ourselves. I'm going to give you a bit of a live demo and show you the interface, show you the ins and outs, how we can get started. And for those of you that are a bit more experienced, who have been using it for about 2-3 years, that's absolutely fine, because hopefully you'll pick up some stuff that you might not have known before. So we're going to test your knowledge one of these days, guys. So do pay attention and follow along with me. And then at the end, we'll have a bit of Q&A with the team. You can ask us anything within reason, of course. So yeah, we'll have a bit of a discussion, and we'll have time for questions. So please do note them down as I'm editing, as I'm showing you the tool, if there's anything that you want to put towards us. So as I say, follow along at home. If you don't have your device with you, or you just want to relax and watch and take it in, that's absolutely fine as well. And please do use that Q&A box that Scott and Amy are going to be monitoring throughout the next hour. And if you do have any questions, they'll answer them there and then, or we'll save them to the end of the session. So we asked you guys to fill out a Google form before this webinar started when you were signing up, and we asked you what type of videos you were creating. And we always love to find this out, because LumaFusion is essentially a storytelling tool, and the stories everywhere in our day-to-day lives, at work. Maybe we've got a passion project in mind, or as I say, maybe you just want to make a little video here and there. Well, you can see here, we've got food vlogs, we've got home videos, we've got short films, cinematic masterpieces, documentaries. These are all answers that you guys have put down. We've even got some drone footage in there, some wedding videographers. So you guys are really coming from a range of different disciplines. And as we go through the tool, and we will be running more of these sessions, we won't cover every single little feature in LumaFusion today. Of course, this is just to kind of get you guys started. But we will be digging deeper into those tiny specifications as the weeks go on, so you guys can see what you need for your own projects. But you will see that you can do a range of different videos with LumaFusion, which is super exciting. So mobile editing. Guys, why do we edit on mobile? Let us know in the chat why you prefer to edit on mobile, or why that you're editing with LumaFusion at all. Why do you think mobile editing might be a preferable choice, or a choice that some content creators take to actually make their videos? Let us know in the chat. Okay, XFitMad says the best camera is the one you have on you. Exactly. So it doesn't matter if you're a breaking news journalist, or whether you are out in the street and you see something wonderful happening in front of you, or you just get a sudden rush of ideas and adrenaline. It's in your pocket. That means the story is going to be captured. And as I'm going to mention 100 times today, the most important thing is the story. Of course, LumaFusion is a fantastic tool, but we are here to enable you to tell your story and to get your messages across, okay? So it's in your pocket, regardless of whether you have an Android device or you're editing on iOS, it doesn't matter. You can just start editing there and then. Okay, and let's have a look. Andrea says, I would never create my classes if I had to do it on a large camera and computer. It's super easy and quick, and I can work on it anywhere. I have to agree with you. I trained as a broadcast journalist on these big, hefty cameras, this big, chunky desktop software, as a lot of our team have, and just being able to edit with, essentially it's a TV production studio in our pocket. You can do so much now. Thank you, Andrea. And Scott says he likes to move lightly. Exactly. This is the tiniest little light piece of equipment. Imagine being able to do everything on your phone, even a decade ago. It's just, it's insane to even think how far technology has moved on now. Nelson says he usually captures on his iPhone or GoPro, and I guess his eyes aren't as good as I'd like to edit on a small screen. I think, Nelson, it's a little bit of practice in there, but I do agree. Sometimes it is a little bit hard to get used to editing on a small screen, especially when you've gone from a big desktop computer. But I assure you, if I can do it, Nelson, you can do it too. So we're all going to be practicing this together. And it's absolutely fine, guys. If you want to be editing on the largest iPad possible, that's fine. There's not, it doesn't make you a better editor to edit on a tiny screen, okay? It just means that it's whatever's going to work for your own workflow. And mobile editing, you can see we're so passionate at LumaTouch about the concept of mobile editing, about enabling you guys to tell your story. And LumaFusion has been designed from the ground up for the mobile editor. We are a little bit of a community here at LumaTouch, and you are now part of that. So welcome to everyone that's joined. Here's a little bit about us so you can get to know some of the characters here.
Our only goal is to make the best editor for storytelling. I'm Terry, and I'm the co-founder of LumaTouch, and we make LumaFusion, a multi-track editor for mobile. Our team from Salt Lake and Seattle is really small. It's under 20 people. We're all from the video industry or the music industry, or we've been shooters or video editors. So we're all very passionate about what we're doing.
The great thing is there's like this energy here where we all just genuinely love to create.
It's everybody in the company, we encourage them to do ad hoc editing.
I love it. I love that this job includes the creative side. Outside of work, I'm still editing.
It's important for us to edit so we get a real sense of what our product can do, and even to find some issues or bugs, as we call them, before customers find them.
My primary goal is to ensure that when we release a build of LumaFusion, put it out into the world, that it's as bug-free as we can possibly make it. Once it goes out into the world and we get reports back from real live customers, then we're trying to figure out what those issues are, collate them, get data, get all that stuff over to the developers, and get the developers to fix it and put out a new build with the fixes in.
In truth, what makes LumaFusion different than every other editor out there is that we were designed and built from the ground up for the mobile platform. When we design a feature, we're looking at what our customers want to do, but then we're rethinking it for how you would want to do that on a mobile device.
After that, we're moving on to, well, we have a lot of things going on. I don't know. Yeah. We haven't decided the next feature that we'll work on, so we'll leave it at that one.
The really great thing about LumaFusion is it's made for storytelling. So stories of any length and of any complexity. It feels like you can forget about the technology and you can really focus on your own story when you're using it. And that's the way we want it to be.
Being able to touch that user interface and actually feel connected to the material that I'm using to edit something with, I just love it.
We help customers that have tons of editing experience, and we help customers who have never edited before.
We're all filmmakers. We come from filmmaking background, and so If we're answering a support ticket, we can help them overcome that, that little technical thing in the app, but we can also be talking to them about how they're setting things up sometimes and how they're doing their video.
So we want to make sure that you have the tools to get started with LumaFusion. It can be as simple as just how to install LumaFusion on multiple devices, or how to just get going with adding different color effects to LumaFusion.
It gets our customers to know that there are real people behind the app.
I'm talking to creators all over the world, so whether they're from Japan, America, England, we run courses with them one-on-one where we can get stuck into individual projects and help them with what they're trying to create.
Actually, anyone can edit with this app. All you have to have is the desire to tell a story.
As you can see here, we are a multi-track editor. So there's 6 video audio tracks and 6 audio tracks. So that means you can have up to 12 tracks to edit your projects with. We do have some creators that are editing their podcasts in LumaFusion as well as video productions. We have what's called a magnetic timeline, which you'll see when we jump into the app. The idea of actually editing video scene after scene after scene and being able to move your timeline around with ease without losing any of it. We've got a lot of different transitions. We've got lots of different features that enable you to customize your timeline, like markers, adding notes, and the ability to reproduce project after project to create different versions for different social media channels, for example. And we are about storytelling. So it's all about unleashing your creativity. So we want you to have an easy editing experience. So there are a range of different audio and video effects within the app itself that you can use. Literally hundreds of different options if you want to add effects in different orders, use chroma keys, keyframing, blending modes, you name it. And we've got options to brand your work. So adding your logo, having title presets, multi-layer titles, so you can essentially add text, add subtitles, add lower thirds and logos and so on, and importing your own fonts, colors, borders. So we really want this to be a personalized experience for you. So for the type of videos you're creating, and we saw just a few slides ago, you guys are making TikTok videos, short films, documentaries, news packages, adverts. If you're creating it for yourself, or you're creating it for your company or work, or maybe for a customer, you're going to want to brand that differently, and you can store all of that branding within LumaFusion itself. So if you're just getting started with this today, don't get overwhelmed with what you see on screen, but we're going to be going through from scratch. So no matter how advanced you are, as I say, you're going to be picking up something. For those of you that have been using LumaFusion for a while now, our latest feature is called Multicam Studio. Multicam Studio enables you to sync up to 6 different cameras together for your video project and switch between those videos. So for example, if you are shooting a story from different angles, let's say in this example, you have 4 different cameras set up. You've got a wide shot on your chef from the front, you've got a close-up from the side, maybe one a bit further back, and then a bird's eye view from above. You can essentially press record at the same time. You can sync all of those video clips together, and within LumaFusion, within Multicam Studio, you can switch. So you've got your own switcher within your iPhone or your Android device as well. So it makes it really, really super for this fast and effective edit. But we will be diving into Multicam Studio in a completely separate webinar because it does take a little bit of practice. And once you get the hang of it, you'll be flying, and it's really, really fun. So we're all going to be doing that together in a few weeks' time. So without further ado, here is the fun bit. We're all going to open up LumaFusion and have a go ourselves. I'm just going to share my iPad screen. It doesn't matter what device you guys brought along today. You can practice this as well. Okay, guys, so if you have LumaFusion open at home, please do pop it open here, just open up the app and take a look at the interface. As I say, we're going to be going through this from scratch. If this is the first time you've used LumaFusion, you won't be seeing all these projects here because this is something I have done earlier. I've been using LumaFusion almost every day. So you can see I have a lot of projects that I've been working with. Now, a project is essentially a video. So it's something that you can jump into and do a bit of editing, and you can jump out of your project and go into another project very easily. So here I am in my project library. If I go up to the top here, I can scroll through these video projects. This is by one of my colleagues, Jasmine Hoff, who has been recreating TV intros. You can see she's been working really hard on those. And you can see all of the different videos you make can easily be accessed by just tapping and previewing up here in the preview bar. But what we're going to do today is we're going to start from scratch, okay? So what I would like you all to do is to open up a new project with me. If this is your first time using the app, you'll just see a small plus icon in the middle of your screen. If you've been using it before, you can see where that blue dot is at the bottom left of the screen. I'm going to tap that, and then I'm going to get this pop-up box, okay? That pop-up box is essentially the starting a new project. Okay, so if you all get to this section with me, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to name your project. From this moment on, guys, there'll be no saving your projects as my project 1, my project 2, or my project 54, as I've seen before. Okay, so tap on where it says my project, and you're going to rename. And why do we rename? Because it makes it easier to find our work, especially when you guys are going to be doing so many cool videos. So I'm just going to name my project Back to School. Okay, and press enter. Okay, so you can see I've named the project. Easy peasy. You can see there's 3 different options underneath, and we can change our frame rate, our aspect ratio, or our color space for our project. Now, if any of these confuse you, that's absolutely fine, because you can just dive straight into a project directly. If you feel like you want to change any of these, you can tap on the 3 horizontal lines on the right hand side of any of those, and you can change them. Your frame rate is essentially frames per second. So if you've got 1 second of video, that's lots of different images that have been made up to create that illusion of movement, isn't it? Because that's what a video is. It's just loads of photos put together to played back, you know, like those flip box you get, you know, with the little stick men like this. That's all a video is. But the more frames you have, the more smoothly your video will run. So most iPhones shoot in 30 frames per second. That means 30 individual images are captured per second. And it's always a good idea to edit in the same frame rate as you've shot your content, because that means you won't be doubling up any frames to make up for it on your timeline later on. If everything I've said there is gobbledygook to you, just ignore that and you can dive straight in. If we go down here to aspect ratio is a fancy term for essentially the size of your video. So portrait, landscape, square. You can see there's loads of different options here. Perhaps you're doing something for a cinema screen. You could change the size of your video there. It doesn't matter. And once you have picked that, I'm just going to leave it based on the first video clip added. I can also alter my color space. The color space refers to the color range that can be displayed in your video. As you can see, we've got a range of these depending on the media file that you're working with. But as I say, if you don't know that, you can just tap out and tap on this plus icon and the app's going to choose for you. Okay, so now we are in the editor. Please make sure you're all here. I think we've got a few questions popping in at the top. Okay, so you guys all should be in your editors now. And you can see this is a completely fresh project. Okay, so every time you go to make a new video, we've got a new project. This is the interface for LumaFusion. It's split up into 3 main sections. We have our media library up here at the top. Media library, guys, is essentially like, all right, you're going to hear a lot of my weird metaphors today. It's like a cupboard where you go to find everything, right? So what do I need? I need my photos. I need my videos. I need music. I need a transition. I need some text. Anything you want to add is up here in the media library, okay? So everything is up here where my finger is, okay? Where that blue dot is. Over here on the right-hand side, we have the preview screen. That's where you're going to preview any of the work that you've done. And you're going to do that work down here on what's called the timeline. Okay, the timeline is where the magic happens. That's where you're going to create your masterpiece. Okay, so the best way to learn is actually by doing. Okay, so we're going to add a clip to the timeline. Now, before we do that, I want you all to notice this light gray horizontal bar. The light grey horizontal bar is called a track. Do you remember I said earlier we could have 6 video audio tracks, and we layered those on top of one another. Now, the main track, imagine this like a human skeleton, okay? If somebody pulled out your spine, you'd fall over, wouldn't you? You need your spine, you need your backbone. Your main track is like that. We need to fill the main track and build our project around it. So that main track is super, super important, okay? So we're going to start by putting clips on that track and learn as we go. So remember, we want to add something. We're going to add a video to our project. Has to be in the media library, okay? That's our cupboard of goodies. So up here at the top left, we have an icon which looks like a flower. If we tap on that, it opens up this menu. And the menu is essentially all of these different areas, which gives us things that we can add to our project. So we've got photos at the top. This will refer to the photos and videos that are on your device. Imported refers to things that you have imported into the app, like things from Dropbox or any cloud servers and so on. As you go down, linked folders, that's if you have an external hard drive. Some of you might be working with larger clips that you don't want on your device, and you might be editing off your hard drive. We've got story blocks. That is the royalty-free content bank that you can use, music, videos, photos, sound effects that you didn't shoot yourself, but you can use them on YouTube, which is really cool. We've got a range of transitions, so transitioning one clip to another. Titles is a really fancy name for really cool text, okay? So it's basically text with shapes that you can add. And Frame.io and Replay, you might not see these, but you might if you've added it previously. They're essentially ways that you can edit along your projects along with members of your team. So if I was to make a video project here, I can send it via Frame.io. Scott and Amy could have a look at it and give me updates on that project, anything I need to change, and send it back to me. And then we've got music here at the bottom, which is music that is on your device. So we're all going to tap on photos here. And we're going to go and find a video clip on our device, okay? That's the first thing we're going to do. So you can see here, I'm going to tap into my albums. These albums are already made for me because they're albums within my iPad, okay? And I'm going to go into this one from the NAB conference this year that took place in Vegas. LumaTouch team were over there. So I've got some fun video clips. And we can see thumbnails of all of those videos, okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you to practice tapping once on each thumbnail. You can see as I tap on a video, it opens up that video in our preview screen. Do you remember I said the preview screen is where you're going to preview a clip before you use it, yeah? So I'm going to tap on all of these clips, okay? Now, if I want to bring one of these videos down onto the timeline, I can do this in a multitude of ways. LumaFusion enables us to do lots of different things in different ways because it opens up workflows for different types of editors. But I'm going to show you my favorite way today, because I think it's the easiest way to start learning, is to tap and hold. So I'm literally just putting my finger on that thumbnail. I'm tapping and I'm holding my finger on my iPad like this, and I'm dragging it, and I'm going to look for that vertical yellow line on that main track. Okay, on that backbone of our project. When I'm happy, I'm going to let go. Okay, guys, so we've added our first clip to the timeline. I'm going to show you that one more time. I'm going to delete this clip by tapping the bin icon at the bottom. And I'm going to tap and hold and drag that down. Okay, wonderful. There you go. You've added your first clip to your LumaFusion project. And it only gets easier from here. No, I'm joking. There is a bit more to learn, but we're going to go through this together. So as you can see, you have your clip on your timeline. What I would like you to do is use your index finger, and I want you to drag on this black space above your timeline. I want you to drag it back and forth. Now, as you're doing that, you can see that the image changes in that preview box. Can you guys see that? So basically my video is playing forward and back. Okay, I can press play and pause, or I can just skim through my timeline as I like, okay? Now you'll notice that that blue vertical line, this is called the playhead. That vertical line, super important. It does not move. It stays there exactly on the timeline where it's always been. It's the timeline underneath that moves. So you with your finger, you're dragging it, you're actually seeing the preview move. And you can see there at the top, you see where it says 12:26. If I move it along, it says 18.11. That means I'm 18 seconds into the clip and 11 frames. Okay, so it's there to tell you where you are at in your project. Okay, over here on the left-hand side, we can see how long our clip is, and we can see the name of our project, of our clip as well. Okay, everybody with me? Fabulous. Okay, so we have our first clip on the timeline. Now, clips on the timeline are fantastic, but sometimes we could take a really long video, couldn't we? We could take a video that's like 20 minutes long. You might not necessarily want the entirety of that video. So what I would like you to do is tap on an even longer video. So I'm going to tap on this one here. This is an interview clip, as you can see. It's a very long interview clip, which I can skim through by just dragging on the preview toolbar here. Okay, a very long interview. This is Photo Joseph. You might recognize him from some of our videos on YouTube. Now, I might not want the entirety of that video clip on my timeline. So what I'm going to do is teach you how to trim a clip before you put it on the timeline. So you see these yellow bars on the left and right. You guys see those there, yellow bars left and right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag those bars in until I find a section that I like. You see now he's laughing. I must have said something hilarious there, I'm not sure. Okay, so you can see there, I want to start the clip. Okay, now I want the end of the clip from where he finishes speaking. And you see, I can actually see the clip without actually having to watch it, which is really cool. So let's say I want to stop there. So now what I've done is I've said, I only want what's in those brackets to go onto my timeline. Okay, and I'm going to tap and hold the preview. You can tap and hold from the media library, but I think it makes more sense here to drag from the preview down. And again, we're looking for that yellow vertical bar. We're going to put it after onto that gray main track, our first clip. Okay, guys, so you should have two clips on the timeline, clip 1 and clip 2. Okay, now clips on the timeline, you can change the length of these. Now we're going over our core editing skills here, guys. The first one is to trim a clip. Trimming means you're cutting off the end or the beginning. Okay, so let's say this clip here, our first clip. If I want to do anything to a clip, I have to tap on it to highlight it. You can see at the beginning, I have this arrow going inwards and an arrow going inwards on the right-hand side as well. If I want to trim from the beginning, I'm going to tap and hold and trim that clip. Again, I can see that in the preview bar. I'm trimming the beginning off, or I can trim the end off. Well, look what happens when I trim the end off. I'm watching where I am in that video, and I'm making my clip shorter. But you'll notice that if I trim too much off and I think, oh, I've made a mistake, I can trim back out. Okay, so nothing is ever lost. Everything that you use in LumaFusion is carefully stored. So if you're editing the most precious video in the world to you, you've got, you know, the little baby video or your dog or, you know, your holiday that you just went on, and you don't want to lose that video, it's fine, because LumaFusion, everything is stored within LumaFusion. The original will be in your Photos app. Okay, so you can't break anything, you can't ruin any of your files. So we see there to trim a clip, we're going to drag with the left and right arrows. And again, if I wanted to trim this clip, if I just changed my mind and I thought, oh, I actually trimmed him too soon, I can drag it back out again. So that's trimming. However, let's say I have a clip and I've got a section in the middle that I don't like. We need to do something called splitting the clip. Okay, now imagine, here comes another metaphor. If you are cooking dinner and you have, let's say, a carrot, and you have inside that carrot a bit of mold or something that you don't want in the middle, you're not going to basically cut off all of the end just to store the good bit on one side. It's the same with a clip. If I have my clip here on the timeline and I don't like this center bit, I'm not going to trim all the way off because I'll lose the beginning bit of my clip. So what I need to do is I need to split this clip. We're going to split with either the scissor icon or our fingers either side of that preview, or playhead, sorry. And we're going to cut that clip. And I'm going to do so the bit I don't like. So I want it to start where I'm touching the screen there. And I'm going to split that clip. And I'm going to delete that middle section by tapping and holding. And I'm going to flick it off the screen. Okay. And that section of the clip is gone. Okay. So that's a trimming motion and a splitting motion. Splitting motion can be really useful because not only can you take out bad bits of the clip that you don't like, but you can also use that to split a clip in half, tap and hold, and actually drag the second half of your clip elsewhere. Okay, can everyone see how I've done that? I've tapped and held a clip and I've dragged it around. So just have a practice with that yourself. Now you'll notice as I'm doing that, can you see how everything's like a one big magnet? Do you remember I said this is a magnetic timeline? So when I pick up a clip, watch what happens. All these clips are going to jump into its place down the timeline, okay? And that is to stop you getting big black holes in your beautiful project, okay? It's also to protect the editing that you've done later on down the timeline. You can turn this off if you like by changing from insert mode to overwrite mode by tapping this icon on the left-hand side of the screen to open up the menu here and tapping this downwards arrow. When the timeline goes purple, it means we can move a clip and now we can put it anywhere we like, even down there, and there will be a black mark there. Now, there are reasons for editing in this manner. If you're transferring your skills from desktop editing software, that might be something that you like to do and edit with. However, I always recommend, guys, that you edit in insert mode, which is what your iPad or your editor will look like as soon as you open up LumaFusion, so that you aren't losing any of your content and everything is stuck in one place. Okay, we're going to be diving into insert and overwrite mode in a future tutorial because it is a little bit complex to get your head around at the beginning, and I do need more time to kind of dive into that. But just so we're aware, adding clips to that main track, we're going to be splitting them, trimming them, and reordering them. Okay, now, on our main timeline, we have these things called editors. So our timeline is the order of our clips. But if we actually want to do anything to a clip, change the clip itself, maybe its size, the audio volume, maybe want to add an effect or do something quirky to the video, we need to go into the editors, okay? And I'm going to show you what the editors look like now by double tapping on one of these clips, okay? So I'm going to double tap on a clip. And as you can see, we are in a completely new interface. Do not get confused with all of these icons and sliders and kind of thumbnails everywhere. You're going to learn this step by step. As this is a beginner class, I'm going to run you through the basics of all of these different editors and what they do. The first one is Frame and Fit Editor. It does what it says on the tin. This is the frame and fit of your video. Okay, so we have our video clip here. We've got our interview with Photo Joseph. If I want to make this video punched in, I'm doing so with my fingers. Can you see my two fingers on the screen here? I'm pinching in and I'm pinching out. Okay, you should see those two blue marks. So let's say I wanted to pinch in a little bit. Obviously, the higher resolution that you're shooting your content at, the more you'll be able to punch in because it'll be better quality. I can do this with my fingers, or I can do so with these sliders on the right-hand side of the screen. Or we can use some of these presets at the top, okay? So we can just tap on these and it will move your clip to wherever you like. And tapping this special icon here will reset your content. That's something that I wish I knew earlier when I was using Luma, because I'd be like tiny bit by bit trying to get it back. If you just tap that, it just resets your clip, okay? So your frame and fit editor is to change the size of your clip on the timeline. That white box is the outside of your video, okay, guys? So whatever is outside that white box will not show when you export your video. The next editor down here, we're going to tap on this little icon, is the speed and reverse editor. Again, does what it says on the tin. This is to speed up your content, to slow it down, or reverse your content, okay? And you can speed up and slow it down by using this slider here. And you can see on the right-hand side how quick it will be. And if you want to reverse your content, you're just going to toggle that on. It will take a little bit of time just to reverse your content, but once it's done that and adjusted it, you can toggle back and forth very easily. We're moving on to the next editor now. This is the stabilizer. This is lock and load stabilization by Cormel, which has been integrated into LumaFusion. If you want to stabilize your content, let's say if you're using a handheld camera and maybe you want to make it a little bit more steady, this is where you can toggle that on. Or you can use any of these presets by just tapping once and it will add that stabilization. As you can see, it tracks that dominant motion. If you're like me and you always forget to take your tripod out and you're doing everything handheld, this is useful to you. And as we move along, we've got our audio editor. Our audio editor is very popular at the moment with LumaFusion customers because we've just introduced the sound isolation feature from Apple into LumaFusion, which removes pesky background noise essentially in your video. So the first thing you need to know with the audio editor is how to change the gain. Gain is a fancy word for volume, guys. So essentially, you make a clip louder with this, or you make a clip quieter, right? So you just bring the volume up, bring the volume down. And you can see that horizontal line moving up and down there on the left. We do have other options for our audio if we're using different microphones, if we're working with different audio tracks. We will be diving into those in our next session, okay? Because it's a little bit more complex, but the main thing you need to know is how to change that gain over here on the right. And if you want to add the sound isolation filter, which is very popular, you can just tap on sound isolation here by tapping on this icon at the top, tap on sound isolation, and it will remove the background noise from your clip.
You might want to use, whether you're a solo creator just doing little
I'll show you what it sounds like without
YouTube videos, or you're running.
Okay, so it removes the background noise from particular clips. And then our final editor is the color and effects editor, which of course is very, very popular because you can add all this kind of cool stuff to your clip, make it black and white. You can add saturation. So we can play around with the brightness and so on and so forth. And we can also add a range of different effects to our clips if we like. So a vignette, for example. And you can see as I'm going along and just adding these by just simply tapping, I can actually build up my own range of effects over here on the right. And I can change the order of these to give a completely different look and feel depending on the types of effects that I use. Okay, so it's really worth having a play around in there. Now, everything you do within any of those editors can be saved within what we call a preset. And do you remember at the beginning I said branding is super important? Whether you've got your own title, whether you've got your logo in a particular place, everything can be saved with this little plus icon, which is a session that we're going to be doing in the next few weeks, talking about presets in particular, because this is the way that we're going to brand our content to how we like to edit. I'm just going to remove those so you can see what that clip looks like with and without the effects. And now I'm going to go back into my editor and press this backwards arrow. Just for the next couple of minutes before we do a bit of a Q&A, I'm just going to show you how we layer in LumaFusion, okay? Because layering is very important to all of our videos, depending on what we're actually creating. So what is a layer? A layer is basically using this track above, and we can see this little icon here. And this icon means you can add a video, audio, or a video with audio piece of media on top, okay? And to do so, we're going to use it in exactly the same way that we've done before. So we're going to drag our clip and drop it on top. Let's pick another one, drag this one here, and I'm going to drop it on top. Can you guys see? So rather than just by putting it in a yellow vertical mark, we're going to drop it on top here. Now, why would we use a layer? Well, we're using a layer to visually describe what we're hearing underneath. Okay, so if you ever have somebody explaining something, so if Photo Joseph here is explaining how much fun he's having at the conference, and then we see a clip of Chris from LumaTouch actually talking, doing something at the conference, we're actually hearing Photo Joseph underneath, but we're seeing Chris on top. And of course, we can change the audio however we like, to remove audio from the top layer or not. Now, layers, you can add and build on these. So let's add now a piece of text. Do you remember I say we add from the media library? We're going to tap on that icon at the top, and we're going to go to our titles. And you can see we've got a range of different titles that you can use within LumaFusion. Some of them are just plain text. Some of them are titles, okay? So you can see some of the ones with shapes. That's essentially like a shape with a piece of text that you can alter, change within the app itself. So let's say we want to add this one in. We're going to drag and drop it just like we've just done with the video clip. It's all exactly the same. We're going to drop that now onto the timeline. Can you see this is a layer? So it's like building a house. You've got the foundations, then you're building, I don't really build houses, but the carpet, then you build everything else on top, then you put your furniture in. My metaphors are getting worse as this webinar is going on. But you can see as you're building up your project, you're building up the layers, okay? And layers work exactly the same as as each other. So your videos, your photos, your text can all be trimmed, can all be split, and can all be deleted. Okay, it's super easy to work with. And the only editor we haven't looked at is your text editor. So if you have a piece of text on the timeline, you can double tap and you can see you're in your title editor. And in your title editor, that's where you can change any of the text that you like. And you can see that text can be changed really quickly. And as I say, in a future episode, we'll talk about saving all of our titles as presets so we can use them again and again. Okay. But the final thing I just want to talk through before I hand over to Scott and Amy is the fact that our clips are linked. So when you do use layers in LumaFusion, can you see these little white lines? Can you guys see those little white lines there? Essentially, the white lines tell you that all of your clips are linked together. So if you wanted to move something on the main track, the layers will move with it. It's really important because that means that you won't mess up any edits if you want to make any changes. So you can see, let's say I have my video clip with my 2 layers on top. If I wanted to pick this clip up, can you see everything is attached? And now I can move that somewhere else and my beautiful edit isn't disrupted. Okay, so between now and the next webinar that we're going to do, guys, I would like you to practice with all of these things: adding clips, trimming, splitting, reordering. Go and have an explore with the frame and fit editor, stabilization editor, audio editor, color and effects. Go into your title editor, play around. And in the next webinar, we're going to be diving into presets. We're going to be diving into export options and so on. Okay. So guys, I'm just going to stop sharing so I can see Amy and Scott. Hi guys. I haven't seen any.
Good job, Caroline.
Thank you. I need water now. But yeah, is there anything that you guys want me to cover from the questions that have come in, or are we good?
Well, let us know. So if y'all have questions, put them in the chat specifically about what Caroline has just covered, or maybe there was something, another question, or about just editing in general.
And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to just share with you our screen from how we can help you outside of these webinars. Because as I said at the beginning, we are an editing community. Like, everything that we are doing is to help you guys create videos, tell your story, and get super creative. We're creatives as well, and we're creating videos all the time. So if you guys have any amazing projects that you're working on that you want to share with us, please do get in touch. We've got our website, which is luma-touch.com, which essentially has a reference guide with every single little technical thing you could want to know about LumaFusion. So I know some people learn really well through reading and doing it in their own time. That's available to you as well. And for those of you that are more visual learners, we have our YouTube channel. Guys, our YouTube channel is packed with educational content. So we have our reference guide tutorials, which is essentially me talking through the app very slowly in terms of different sections of the app and how you can use it, adding clips, navigating, trimming, splitting, and so on.
Hey, Caroline.
Yes, Scott.
This is a great spiel. I'm going to interrupt it because we have a great question from Nelson, which is in multicam, how do you have to start all of the cameras at exactly the same time, or does it self-synchronize via the audio?
Nelson, if you find a way to manually turn on 6 cameras at the same time, you have to share it with me, because I don't think I would be able to do that in a production. But the answer is no. So essentially what multicam does is you turn all of your cameras on. It doesn't matter if it's at different times, and the app will look for it will listen out for the sound or a time code within your video clips. So that's why we always suggest people clap or make a noise, use a clapper board, maybe a visual moment that can be synced, so that they can manually sync the clips. It's, it could be either done automatic or manual or via time code. So it doesn't matter at all. Like, if, you can use multicam in a variety of ways, Nelson. And in fact, if you email me afterwards, I'll send you some cool videos on like how to use it in different scenarios. But no, you don't have to at all. And guys, talking of those, what a nice segue, Scott, because we have a lot of creative tutorials that I'm going to send Nelson after this on the LumaTouch Academy playlist on our YouTube channel. Okay, guys. So, techniques for editing interviews, creating personalized video assets, using cool techniques like cross-cutting and parallel editing. I talk about all of these on the LumaTouch Academy playlist. So therefore, the creative amongst you that want to try some cool stuff like green screen and so on. And we also have a range of videos from Max and Amy at customer support. And they've basically given us really amazing little tips and tricks in bite-sized nuggets on our YouTube channel in the series Did You Know, where I have a lot of fun with these guys editing these together, because essentially we think of all the kind of cool ways that you could use LumaFusion, and we give them to you in under a minute or under a minute and a half, so you can learn something new every day. And we also,
so I've put that tutorial link in the chat. And so just know that, like, as you come upon a problem, like let's say you're like, oh, I really want to make this title better. You can look in the tutorial channel and you'll find that video, and then you can go through it on your own and create. I mean, you can really take your time with it. And we're trying to create videos that answer all your questions. So also you can give us your feedback and be like, I want to know how to do this. And that'll help us know what we can create a video out about.
Absolutely, guys. The search icon in YouTube is really good. So if you go onto our page and then you scroll along past where it says about and videos, if you actually look within the page itself and just type in a keyword, there'll be loads of videos under each problem you might be having. But we do also have some entertaining content and some learning content with members of our team. You guys will know this lovely face. This is Terry, our co-founder, and Terry's doing a whole series where she's the curious editor, and she's creating a mobile-only project with non-subscription apps through creating animations, music, storyboarding, and all sorts. So you can follow along with her in that journey as well. And we also have Scott here, who's doing his own journey, where he is a self-described reluctant editor, and he's learning to enjoy the editing journey alongside. I know a lot of you guys feel the same, where you're just struggling to kind of get into it and actually enjoy the process. So there's so many different series online, guys, educational content, entertaining stuff, and we hope to inspire you and make you laugh where we can. So, please do get involved with us. We want to see your work as much as we want you guys to watch our content as well. So do grab us on social media at any of those channels, and essentially just go ahead,
Caroline. I just want to interrupt because we do have a question. Will there be future updates so text can match the person talking on the screen? I had to use another app to do this and would love for Luma to add this. So I can answer that. Yeah. Or unless you want to, Caroline.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that is not possible yet, but that is a feature request that we are working on figuring out. So yes, but good for you for figuring out how to work around. And we're always working with customers to figure out, like, okay, if we can't provide that in the app right now, like, what app did you use? How did you work around it? Thanks for the question.
And guys, if you're looking for any personalized group training with your team at work, I know there's some guys here from news organizations or marketing teams. If you do want any personalized training, we also offer that, or one-to-one learning. If you look in the comments now, these guys are going to post a link for a Google form sheet. So if you want to get in touch with me, I run the LumaTouch Academy. So if you do want that one-on-one training, get in touch with me for what you need, and we can make sure that we get that to you. And as I say, we just want to kind of get you guys going with LumaFusion, no matter what stage of your video production journeys you're on. Okay, so please do get in touch with us. Okay, guys, so we are at the end of the webinar today. I'm just going to stop sharing so I can see you guys. Hi, Scott. Hi, Amy. I haven't seen you in an hour.
Caroline, yeah. We've been watching you. You did a fine job.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you all for coming along today. And yeah, please do keep in touch with us on social. We literally read every single comment you send us. And as you've just seen, we have a very small team at LumaTouch. I think a lot of people think that we're this huge organization, but actually we are reading all your comments. We know a lot of you very well and personally. It's great to see some familiar faces on here as well. So Please do keep editing, guys, get inspired. And if there's a project that you want to start working on and you just haven't got started yet, let us know about it, and we'll do everything we can to kind of help you kind of get that off the ground, and we can talk through some ideas with you. As I say, we're all here to be one big community and helping you on your editing journey. Scott, Amy, is there anything else you would like to add there?
Yeah, just let us know if you have feedback about the webinar, things that wasn't useful for you. What would you like to see in the future?
If there are topics, if there are techniques, on the timeline in the app that we can cover or unpack a little bit for you, you can get us via email or via comments on our socials.
If you have something that you're excited to share with us, we'd love to see what you're creating.